we're here to protect you and the ones that you love. It's a good feeling to know that our efforts aren't going unnoticed.
It actually brought tears to my eyes to know that we have this support.
You're welcome. I must just say you're welcome. It's stressful, but we're not going anywhere.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another session of Bucknell Women's Soccer Through the Decades. This session is brought to you today by Geisinger, our friends at Geisinger. We want to thank them for all that they've done for our community, our student athletes, and everyone during the pandemic and helping to keep us all safe. So thanks, Geisinger, for sponsoring today's session. My name's Todd Newcomb here at Bucknell, and I'm joined by head coach Kelly Cook, 4 of our alums and 1 of our current women's soccer players. And we're going to spend the next hour just trading off some real fun stories and getting to know each other better and letting you at home know more about our women's soccer alumni. So I'm going to take a second and introduce each of their guests, and then I'll turn it over to Coach Cook, and we'll roll it from there. So this is the decade of the 2000s, and our first guest is Jen Margolis from the class of 2007. And for those of you at home, I will introduce them with their maiden name so that it's a name that you will recall in case they're married and have a different name at this point. So Jen Margolis, class of 2007. Jen ranks 8th on the career points list at Bucknell with 67. She was an All-Patriot League second-team selection in both 2004 and 2006, and she was an All-Patriot League first-team selection in 2005. Our second guest is Krista Lee Gentile. She's class of 2008. She was the team captain in 2007. She currently ranks 5th on the career points list with 83. She was an All-Patriot League second-team selection in 2004, 2005, and 2007, and an All-Patriot League first-team selection in 2006. That makes her just one of 2 Bucknell women's soccer players to be all-conference all 4 years of their career. She was an all-tournament team member for the league in 2006, and she won the Lee S. Budrank Memorial Award at the Senior Awards Banquet. Our third alum is Jen Derricks from the class of 2009. She was a team captain in 2008. She ranks 4th on the career points list with 91. All-Patriot League second team in 2006. All-Patriot League first team in 2007 and 2008. She was a Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year in both of those years, 2007 and 2008. She was Patriot League All-Tournament in 2007. She was a COSIDA Academic All-District First-Team Selection in 2008. And she was a United Soccer Coaches Scholar All-East Region First-Team Selection in 2008. And she won the Bison Club Award at the Senior Awards Banquet. Jen is being inducted into the Bucknell Athletics Hall of Fame in this year, 2020. Hopefully it'll happen in the fall. I don't think it's going to. It'll probably happen in the spring. Congratulations. She's going to the Hall of Fame this year, becoming the 2nd women's soccer player to be inducted. Our next guest is Krista Matlak from the class of 2011. She ranks 6th on the career points list with 78. She was all Patriot League first team in 2008, 2009, and 2010. She was a Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year 2010. She was a Patriot League All-Academic Team member in 2010. She was a COSIDA Academic All-District First Team Selection in 2010 and a United Soccer Coaches Scholar All-East Region First Team Selection in 2009 and 2010. And she was a United Soccer Coaches Scholar All-American Third Team Selection in 2009 and a Second Team Selection in 2010. Krista won the Christy Mathewson Award as the top female athlete at Bucknell at the Senior Awards Banquet. So those are our 4 alums. Our current student athlete, we want to again thank senior forward Bree Kropanek for joining us. She's from Swansboro, North Carolina. She was one of the co-captains last fall and is set to be a captain again this year. And Coach, you mentioned it, there's a lot of goals on this call. So have some fun and we'll let it rip from here.
Yeah, it's so excited to have you guys on. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us today. Again, this is a special one for me. I had the opportunity to play against many of you on this call and can vouch for the tremendous talent that is in this group and a lot of goals. So let's kick things off and we'll go in order from oldest to youngest for this one. Take us back to the beginning and tell us the story of how you were recruited and what your recruitment looked like to Bucknell. So Jen, if you want to kick things off for us and give us your background and your story of how you got here.
So the story of how I got here. So I think Krista Finley at the time, the head coach, played a huge role in how I got to Bucknell. Took my official visit there, and just, it was a comfortable feeling. I think my family and my parents were comfortable. The facilities at the time were brand new, not the field. Field was, I don't think the field was there yet. It wasn't there yet. That came. But the facilities, right? The facilities are brand new. So that was very appealing. But yeah, it was really, I think, the coaching staff at the time that really brought me to Bucknell, and the opportunity to, at the time, build the program. So it was definitely a rebuilding time for them. So it was a great opportunity, and the allure of that. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Krista Lee.
Yeah, I was recruited by Krista as well. Definitely, you know, me and Jen are from a very similar area, just playing all around, probably the same tournaments, to be honest. I came out, I did my recruit visit. I stayed with Coons, and then Carolyn Wackelchuk took me out, you know, to see what was around, and the way that the team handled, you know, having someone come in and be a part of it was a huge deal for me, because that was probably one of the most comfortable visits I had. But then I ended up doing a coin flip, and Bucknell won. So
lucky for us.
Yeah. My dad called me the next day in the car ride to school. He's like, I'm not going to make you go somewhere just because of a coin flip. I was like, no, I think it's the right decision. And it was a school that had everything that I wanted. But it was just a really tough decision when it came down to the end. And I, you know, 2 out of 3, and it turned out everything went for the best. So it worked out really well.
Awesome. I don't think I want to ask what the other name of the school was on the other side of that coin. Maybe,
I definitely.
Maybe another time.
And you do know which one it was.
I do, don't I?
Yeah.
Was it that Brown school?
No.
No, it wasn't Lehigh. Okay, just making sure.
No, it was none of the.
Oh, now I know.
It's
Chris and I almost ended up together.
NJIT, wasn't it?
No.
Oh.
TCNJ. It was TCNJ.
Yeah.
They did really well.
Yeah, same thing.
They went
Okay.
to,
Well, you made a good choice, Krista.
oh,
Lee.
definitely. Yeah.
All right, JD, walk us through it.
Well, mine was kind of unconventional, I guess, because I came at the coaching change. So I was recruited initially by Krista Finley's staff, just kind of like half, I guess. It was kind of, I was seen late. It wasn't until December my senior year, and I still hadn't really found the place that I was comfortable with yet. I knew about Bucknell, and I had a few friends that were ahead of me that had gone here for other sports, and just heard great things. And it's academically renowned, so I knew I wanted to go somewhere to study as well, as have a balanced life between soccer and studies. And so I think for me, it was more, I kind of fell in love with the school, and the location was good for me, and it just was a neat place. When I came to visit, I loved it. I think when I was kind of in that holding period, I didn't sign until like February my senior year, because we were waiting for a new coach. We just had switched over to Ben Landis. So once he and his staff got on board, and then it was basically signed, sealed, delivered from there. So for me, it was kind of lucky on my part, I guess, that I ended up at Bucknell, just because of all of the timing of it and the transition, and I couldn't be happier. I just fell in love with it the second I stepped on campus and met the girls, and I just felt right at home from the get-go.
I would argue that I think Bucknell may have gotten the luck end of that deal, but
no, I think it was me.
I'm glad you feel lucky. I think that Bucknell felt pretty lucky as well. So, all right, Krista, let's last but not least here.
So mine was probably a little bit unconventional as well. So I was playing club soccer on a small club team because I am local to Bucknell. So my recruiting experience wasn't as probably, I don't know, prolific as some of the other people in the more populated areas or bigger club teams. So I actually wasn't being recruited by Bucknell initially until Mark Lavecchio, I believe, reached out to Ben Landis and told him to come to one of my high school games. So I actually got recruited from a high school game, which is probably more unusual, at least nowadays with as many club programs and tournaments that there are. I went on campus, did the whole official visit. The girls were fantastic. They felt like my friends from home. And I think the moment I knew that I wanted to be there was when I walked in the library. I could actually feel like that's a place I could study, and I would excel. And so that was kind of the moment where I was like, this is where I want to be. It was between here and one other school. And, this one was also closer to home. So my parents were more excited about that one. And I like this area. I still live here today. I still get to the games and try to do as much at Bucknell as I possibly can. It was a great experience for me all around, just athletically and academically.
Awesome. Thank you. So fast forward a little bit. Now you're on campus. Talk a little bit as a player about the changes and kind of how you matured from day one of your freshman preseason till your senior year, and in just kind of the process you went through as a player, but also as a person in your 4 years at Bucknell. We'll jump back to you, Jen.
Taking me back, just so you know. I didn't think about this one. So freshman year, we had a really large recruiting class. I think we were like 13 deep to start. We only had one senior on the team, Abby, who was our captain, phenomenal leader. So I was just, you're just going in and it's scary. Everything's unknown. I was definitely homesick a lot my freshman year. So just trying to go through all of that stuff. But I think as you go at Bucknell, it does give you a sense of, that home feeling, that Bucknell bubble, and the parents always come to support and everything. So I think as time, you just get used to that. And then you build as a person, you build your maturing just throughout your college career. So from freshman year to senior year, I would say would be completely different on how I felt going into it. But it's just, and then you have that role to make the younger class feel better, and feel comfortable. So it's kind of a complete transition, but it's something that I think everybody at Bucknell kind of goes through who plays a sport, at least on the women's team. I feel like, just hearing you guys speak from your experience as well, like everyone's recruiting experience, and then, when you're hosting those recruits and kind of giving back. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Krista Lee.
Yeah, I mean, hearing this question, like the biggest difference in the maturation of like my career and things like that was actually getting injured leading into my junior year. It was actually July 5th. I tore the ligaments in my ankle at a summer tournament. And we didn't find out that it was torn until I showed up to preseason and they told me to go get crutches. And that was kind of crazy, just the whole process of that. And then sitting out those 5 games, all of preseason, sitting out Air Force, sitting out Penn State, and watching Krista Matlak come in and like just run rampant. It created this different type of person who I couldn't be on the field, and I had always been an on the field leader. Like nose to the grindstone, just if they're bigger, just pound harder. I don't know, like just keep trying to knock them down. So sitting on the sidelines for the first 5 games of the season and not getting a start in the 6th, like I came back with such a fire that those are the moments that like, this is what you want to do. Like it was the first time I had sat out in my entire career and I had to do it. And it was being there for your teammates when you can't be on the field was just the biggest difference. It changed how I communicated with my teammates. It changed how I perceived myself as a leader. So I think that was such a huge flip for me, and why 2006 was such a huge year for me. But yeah, I'd say that was a big catalyst to me maturing as a player, as a leader, as a, everything, honestly.
Well, thank you for sharing. JD.
For me, I'd say the biggest thing was confidence. I came in preseason and cried for the first 2 weeks every single day. like for my freshman year, I was a complete mess because I didn't, like Margolis said, I didn't know what to expect. It was all the unknown. You're there by yourself compared to what you're used to at home. You know, you don't have any friends, family yet that's there. And I think the biggest thing that got me through was especially my class coming together and basically being my family. And that got me through the hard times initially. And then it just helped catapult us forward, you know, in terms of just feeling like, okay, I have a family now here. Like, you know, you have that support at home naturally, but when you're out on your own, you've got to find it and build it. And I think the other girls in my class, especially in that initial, you know, couple of weeks were huge in helping me make the jump. And you know, your confidence, you can portray that on the field and off the field, but for me it was more when I felt confident off the field, then that helped my on the field performance. So you know, it was a little bit of both. It was my personal life, it was like just being me, being able to be out and be me, and you know, going and being confident, being a human being, I think was the biggest thing that I, you know, felt over the 4 years even more and more comfortable with. And that's, I think, in large part due to all of my teammates that were tremendous support throughout the way.
Awesome. Thank you, JD. Krista.
I'd say mine was probably similar experience to both Jen and JD. It's more of like, I battled with the homesickness and missing my friends, the people that I was comfortable with. It was that feeling of discomfort and being in a new environment around new people that I didn't know. It was kind of scary, and it was just overwhelming because of just not knowing, you know, the commitment that was going to be required when classes started and all of the time management that I was going to need to learn. You know, I think I failed my first test in college, and it's probably the first test I ever failed in my life. And so that was something that, you know, it was scary, and I realized really quick I need to change my study skills, and I need to figure out the time management and how to balance everything. And throughout my career, I got more and more confident with balancing those things, like the academics and the athletics. And I think that, you know, by my senior year, I was able to help the younger players, the freshmen especially coming in my senior year. You know, I feel like I tried to be that go-to person when they were stressed out or had a question, that I would try to help them find the answer that they were looking for. So I think that it was kind of maybe a mixture of all of that, is how I kind of feel like I improved throughout my career.
Awesome, thanks. For the next question, I'm going to turn it over to Bree, who's got some for you.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. So my first question is, what advice would you give me or any of the other players that are in our program today about the college soccer experience at Bucknell? We can go in the same order that we were going, or you guys can answer it however you want. It doesn't really matter.
All right, I guess we'll go in the same order. Just make it easy. I feel like that's a really loaded question and one that's difficult to answer. Just embrace it all. Like, it's something that you're never going to experience again. That sense of, well, maybe those of, I think we got 2 college coaches. I don't know what you, Krista, I don't know about you, but 3? No, just 2? 2? Yeah. So you guys might, but you know, it's just something when you're in it, that sense of team, that family, it's something that really just, it's unique and it's special. And I think alluding to that, you know, who's coming to the games, those tailgates after the game, all that stuff. It's just something that is so unique and so special. So just savor it, embrace it, and just, you know, as best you can now in these times. But yeah, it's crazy times, but it's just, you're going to have those connections with those people for the rest of your life. So it's pretty special and it's unique. So that would be my advice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that because Jen, you coached college after you played.
Yeah, when I was in grad school.
Yeah, I coached for 8 years. Krista and Jen are still in it. Like college soccer, like you're gonna have to leave it all there. So like right now it's July, like every one of your teammates needs to be doing more. Like, you just need to play it so that you don't feel like you could have done anything else more. Like this, it's funny because when we look back, my freshman season, we didn't do great. Like, we had a pretty rough year in 2004. And the only thing that I remember is that I didn't even know what it meant to play in postseason that year. And the next year we were like very clear as like, this is what it is, this is how it goes. But I always felt like I didn't even know, and we missed a couple things that we were one game away actually in league to go to the conference, and we didn't know. And I just think that you need to make sure that everyone's educated on what you're playing for and who you're playing for. I think playing for seniors, like obviously you're a senior, but you can't ask people to play for you. But I'm saying that when we were playing for those seniors. Like when Jen was a senior, those last couple games, all of them, that class, we wanted it for them, and people wanted it for me, and people wanted it for Jen. Like, you have to play for each other, but you also have to train after practice. You have to train in the summer for each other, and that's hard because Bucknell pulls from so far away that a lot of you are training alone or with other schools. So every moment, I'd say.
I like that. Thanks.
Yeah, I think I want to echo what those two just said. They've hit it on the head. You're right now, you're playing for not only you, but for everybody else that wears this t-shirt. What I've learned after graduation from Bucknell is that once you're in the Bucknell family, you never leave. Like, I meet people from Bucknell that I never met before, and they're 20 years older than me, and it's like you're part of their family already. The Bucknell network is just so strong, and so it's just a big family, even if you don't know the people, a lot of the people in it. So, I mean, for us, looking back and watching you guys and watching more championships come along, it's really like, it gives us a sense of, we're proud, like, we're so proud to be a part of this, even though you don't know that we're watching or that we're seeing it. We feel it as much as you do because it takes us back to those days. And I think for us, it's just, everybody kind of always says, college is the best 4 years of your life. And I think for me, I took that for granted when I was there. And I think I didn't savor every single moment that I would have wanted to. There's a lot that I did, and I'm really happy with my experience. I wouldn't change anything, but I think savoring the moment is something that I would tell you and all your teammates, because you never know, you don't have anything like a college soccer program again once you're done. And that's one of the things that drew me back into coaching. It's just a sense of family and togetherness that you'll never see again. So I would echo those two and say, kind of savor the moment and, live for your teammates, play with your teammates, and just be unified, because you've got people ahead of you and ones that are going to come behind you that they're looking at you even though you don't know it. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say too. Sorry, it's a similar answer, but it's,
thank you.
there's a lot more behind it. So
thank you.
I mean, I guess I feel the same way as everyone else. You want to take it all in. You want to really make the best of your experience. Ways you do that is you hold each other accountable for your decisions and your actions in the off season. Put the work in now, so when it comes August, maybe September this year, but you're ready to go, and you do it not only for yourself, but you do it for the person next to you. It's a team environment, and I think that sometimes that gets set to the side and people worry about themselves a little bit more than they should, but just do it for each other. And the one thing that really always stuck with me when I played was, and I don't know if it's still in the locker room, but there's a quote, "How hard would you play today if there was no tomorrow?" or something like that. Or I can't remember exactly what it was. It's, "If there was no tomorrow, how hard would you play today?" And that was always in the locker room. And that is the one thing that I always told myself, like, you never know when it's going to end. You could get a career-ending injury. You could get a season-ending injury. You could be like Krista Lee and out 5 games. And, you know, you never know when something like that's going to happen. So you always go all in, no matter what. And you do it for all the people around you, and you just try to be the best that you can be every single day.
Or you could have a pandemic come along.
Or that.
or that. Thank you guys. Kelly.
All right. So I'm excited to hear the answer to this question from you guys. You guys all played on some very good teams during your time at Bucknell. What do you think were some of the keys that contributed to that success?
I think that I'm going to roll to my junior year. So that was Krista's sophomore year, JD's freshman year, right? So we were underrated at the time. We had just come off, as Krista said, not the best season before that. And my freshman year, it was even not so great. And we all just wanted it for each other. We had a really big senior class and fairly big junior class as well. And we took on that underdog role and we just embraced it. And at the time there was another team in the league that was doing really well and getting some national recognition out there. And we're just like, well, what about us? You know, we're here too. And I think that just kept pushing us. And in the end, you know, we all know how that ended. Bucknell won, right? But, you know, I think that key to success, it was just, we were one. There was no me, you know, I remember going into that game and they were like, oh, Jen, you got to score. And I'm like, I'm not going to score today. Like, I knew it going into that game. I'm like, I'm going to be marked. I'm everywhere I go, you know? So I knew it was going to be me. And it was just, you know, counting and doing what I could on the field that day to put my teammates in a position. And everybody pulled their weight and stepped up, and, you know, the rest is history. But I think just being a unified front and having a message that you can really attach yourself to. And I think that's what helped us.
Yeah, I'll go right after that. You know, the 2005 season, there was a day where we played a 4v4 tournament, and basically we set it up like the Patriot League tournament, and it was like cutthroat. It was pretty intense. And the reality was that all you had to do was make the tournament in that tournament. Like in the 4v4 game, you had to make the tournament. And then it was back to nothing. And that concept that all you need is a chance. And I remember also we were in a hotel. I don't know where we were. And we were talking about our goals, and Medina was like, why not? Why not? You still have a chance. All you need is a chance. And that's pretty much, I think, how we went into every game. Like, this is an opportunity. We could do this. We did know we had to score a lot of goals to win. Now we do. I think we actually said that to each other a lot. Like, we had to win like 4-3 that year to win. And it was a torrential downpour as well. But as long as we had a chance, that's all we needed. And we outworked a lot of teams. You know, with Shannon Kurd in the middle that year, she just never stopped. And I'll say that, like, Ferris and Shannon yelling at you a lot helps. Yeah, like, I'm not, they demanded it out of you. And especially the strikers, they were like, no, you go. So, I mean, I would say, yeah, just having that chance and belief that all you needed was a chance. And we did it. Like, we snuck into the tournament, you know, snuck into the finals, you know, it was good. It worked out.
I think, yeah, I mean, both of those, but for me, I think it's more the off the field thing was kind of what led to our on the field success. And Margolis touched on it a bit with kind of just respecting your teammates and being one and being a unified force. I think if you have that respect for each other and you're playing, like Krista said, for the person next to you as well, you know, that's what's going to get you where you need to be. And Krista mentioned too, that Krista Lee, that we have our work ethic was second to none. And I think that came from our leadership from the top down. you know, from the coaching staff to the captains, 3, all of the upperclassmen. You had no choice but to work your hardest. And, you know, you either did it or you weren't on the team, you know, you just kind of worked your way out. So for us, it was kind of that top-down dominance and just grit and grind and, you know, don't give up attitude that got us where we needed to go. So.
Yeah, I think for me, it was a lot of those, like the off the field respect was definitely a big part, but our ability on the field to not take anything personally when it came to criticisms, I think really helped propel us to be better every day. When, you know, somebody was giving you information on the field and kind of yelling at you and yelling instructions or asking you to do something different, like there wasn't a whole lot of argument. It was usually like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do it. And you did it. But I do remember one time JD and I yelled at each other back and forth, but we were best friends after the game ended because we knew that it wasn't personal. There's adrenaline going, there's all of that type of, you know, energy on the field and in the moment. And, you know, I didn't take what she said personally. Hopefully she didn't take what I said personally, but, you know, we were, you know, arm over each other's shoulders after the game. And that, I think, really, especially in women's athletics, is something that can be missing at times, and it can really cause, I guess, some trouble. And I think that because we had that respect off the field and that understanding on the field that we're not trying to, you know, hurt each other's feelings, we're just trying to do what's right for the team in the moment, it definitely helped us be stronger as a program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. Transitioning a little bit topic-wise, what skills do you think that you took away from your experience as a Bucknell women's soccer player that have helped you since graduated, whether in your work experiences or your personal life, just any lessons learned, skills that have made a big difference now in your lives?
I think for me, one of the main things that I took away is how you can be the best team player. And that might not be on an athletic team, but maybe for your work or your family, whatever it is. But, you know, on a team, everybody has a role, whether that's you're a starter, you're, you know, that practice player, that workhorse, whatever it is, there's always a role to be played on a team. And you can translate that into every aspect of your life, you know, and at times you're going to be that standout, and at times you're going to have to take that back seat and really drive the people around you to be better. So just taking that team mentality and knowing the different roles and just being able to utilize that to better myself and those around me. I think I learned a lot about that while at Bucknell.
I'd say I agree 100%. I'd say for me, the time management concept, it was just athletes have to have time management, but at Bucknell it was amplified to like the nth degree. You know, there was days where I was sleeping in the math department because stuff has to get done, and there's not enough hours in a day, but you have to make it work. You then learn how to utilize other people and not do more work. You have to do what you can, get it done, move on. Like, I mean, I think in season, our schedules were legitimately like eat a late snack, trainer, then practice, dinner, straight to the library. I mean, and everybody's doing it. So it makes it a lot easier to learn that time management when everybody appreciates and values the academics just as much as you. But my time management skills, I get it done, so I don't have to worry about it later now. And you learn that, you know, you got to get it done before it's due. I remember one time Jen had to take a quiz and get driven to the game separately. You know, the Bucknell did not make it super easy. They held you to a high standard, and the time management you came out with was amazing.
I think I would echo what they said, but then also one of the big things for me is to not take anything for granted. because I think initially my freshman year, like on the field when we won the Patriot League championship, I was like, oh, that's all it is? Like, here we go. I've got 3 more years, 3 more championships. Like, you don't think when you're a little tiny freshman on the field, like, you don't, like the seniors, they hadn't won it at all. So it's a different feeling for them. And for me, I was like, oh, this is nice. You know, I got 3 more years to do this. And then it never happened again. So for me, I think not taking anything for granted, you know, in the grand scheme of things, not just on the field, but, you know, your teammates and your friends and your academics, everything at Bucknell, it was just, you know, taking it all in. And that was, I think, something for me that I take away. And another piece is not like for Bucknell, a lot in academics, but also on the field is they teach you how to think, not what to think. So for me, that's something that's come up huge for me, both in my personal life, in my career, everything. It's more problem solving and how can I get this done? Not, okay, can I just memorize something and recite it for the test and then I'm not going to remember it 2 weeks later? Like, it's not. It's more something that I really value about Bucknell in every aspect was teaching me how to think and not, you know, what exactly to think. So.
Yeah, I would agree with all of those. I definitely think that, like Krista Lee, time management was probably the biggest piece that I took away. You know, I find myself being able to really plan my day out and get everything done that I want to get accomplished when I'm feeling motivated. But I also think that, you know, something I took away was taking the initiative to do more. Just in that team setting, you know, right now in the working with my girls and my college team, I try to get them to do more and help them try to find that initiative. Just because I think that at times it's hard to find that in yourself if no one around you is doing it. So I want them to take that away too, that desire to just do more and do more for your teammates, not just yourself, and to help them find that time management and the balance, because those are probably the 2 biggest things that I think I took away from my experience.
Great, thank you guys. I'm gonna switch it over to Bree here for another question.
Okay, so this is a little bit more relevant to me because I'm a senior, but what advice do you have about networking and finding a job after Bucknell?
Yeah, so I think now more than ever with everything going on in the world, it really is, and I think JD alluded to it earlier, but it is a Bucknell family, and use those alumni resources. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable to write that email or to make that phone call, and you're like, wow, this is so, I don't know this person. Don't be shy. Don't even hesitate. Don't think twice about it, because that person on the receiving end of the phone call wants to hear from you. They want to give you that opportunity. They want to give you that foot in the door. So that would be my best advice I could give you, is don't be shy when it comes to things like that, because it is uncomfortable. But put yourself out there, and I think you'll benefit highly from that. So it's my best advice.
Yeah, I agree completely. I would also say that you're qualified for any job that you even want to do. It's just a matter of asking for the opportunity. And if you're nervous and like that's something that's hard for you, just fake it till you make it, you know, put out that you're confident about it. Because I think that we all find out that the first thing that we do might not be the perfect thing. And then, you know, it opens up a door to another thing. So you just taking that first opportunity, maybe not the, you know, first offered opportunity. I'm saying like the first opportunity that you really want, take advantage of it and move from there. And like Jen said, like once you're out there, there's Bucknell people everywhere. There's Bucknell parents everywhere. And you'll come across them and doors will open. But you really just need to take advantage of the opportunities that you want, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, the Bucknell family is not something, it's like when I was at Bucknell, I only knew my Bucknell family of the immediate people that I could see around me. And it's not the case at all. When you get out into the real world, so to speak, there's Bucknell people everywhere. Or if it's not Bucknell, it's Patriot League. Or if it's not Patriot League, it's somebody else that played college soccer at a high level or a college sport at the same level. And for us, you know, the Bucknell degree is so valuable. No matter what degree you're taking, everybody knows that Bucknell is a great school academically, and to be a student athlete on top of it, you're just going to be so marketable. So I'd say a lot of what the other two just said, and having the confidence to put yourself out there, because you are someone that no matter what job it is, they're going to want you on their team. So I think that's kind of the big thing for me. And what I learned after college is just how much the Bucknell degree really means, and being part of a college athletics team.
Yeah, I think, you know, they all hit the nail on the head. It's a lot of it's confidence. A lot of it is using your network. You know, I bounced around from job to job, so don't be afraid. If you don't find something like right away, it's not, you know, the end of the world. There's always something out there, and you'll eventually find what you're looking for. You know, I went into college coaching, out of college coaching, into my degree field, and back into college coaching later on, because, you know, I was happiest there and it just felt right. And, you know, you make that decision based on what motivates you, what drives you. And, you know, what drove me was my happiness. And so, you know, find that happiness that you're going to go to work every day and you're going to love what you do. And, you know, don't stop until you find it. And if that takes 3 or 4 jobs, then it takes 3 or 4 jobs, but just don't stop looking until you find it, and use your resources along the way.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Some really good advice. I'm going to have to make sure the rest of the team watches this interview with you guys, especially that part about training hard over the summer. And so could you guys go around and give us an update just about your personal life, where you're living, career, family, future plans, education, whatever, you know, kind of things are going on currently, and give us all a little insight. A lot of you guys have mentioned college coaching. I know your backgrounds, but it would be great to share that, since this might be one of the only calls that we have former college coaches in all of our alumni, which I think is just awesome. So anyways, I'll turn it.
Yeah, so after Bucknell, I went to get my master's degree at the College of New Jersey. And while I was there, I coached for 2 years at their women's soccer program, which is a phenomenal program as well. And then currently now I work at East Brunswick High School in New Jersey. I'm a school counselor there, and I have 2 little children, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And we live in Freehold, New Jersey as well. So it's my little update.
So I actually did very similar. Came out of college, went into high school coaching for a little bit while I was studying for certain tests, and then I ended up getting a graduate assistantship and began coaching. I coached college for 8 years, and then moved into youth soccer. I married a Bucknell soccer player. We have 3 kids, 6, 4, and 2. And right now I actually stepped away from the youth game in February, which I'm kind of happy about, that I'm not dealing with a lot of the things that are going on right now through youth sports. And I'm basically taking the break that I didn't take when I had my children, when I was coaching in college. And I am basically spending time with them till they're in school, and then we'll reassess from there, because you guys need to take more time, you know, just saying, the 2 of you. So yeah.
So I am coaching as well. I'm currently coaching. I coach in Ohio at the University of Northwestern Ohio, which is an NAIA school. And we actually won the national championship in 2016. So it's something that is pretty unique here, because we have a lot of international players. So that's been an eye-opener for me and pretty neat to get to travel the world and see soccer from a different perspective. And I've almost called it football a couple times on here, but I'm used to saying football. But so I coach right now. I was the assistant here for 5 years, and now I've become the head coach. This will be my 3rd year. Hopefully we'll have a season here coming up, but this will be my 3rd year as the head coach. And I'm enjoying every bit of it. I love it. When I came out of Bucknell, I got my master's, and then I went into my degree field in math for a couple years and did a office job, and it wasn't doing it for me. So I loved it while I was there, but at the same time, I'm like, this isn't where I belong. I belong on the field. I belong with people that I can mentor. And I think for me, the huge part was the mentors that I found in like during my time when Coach Landis was there. And I think you don't lose that feeling of having somebody that just truly cares for you and wants the best for you and helps you grow. And it's really and I would say, Kelly, for you, maybe you've experienced this too, but it's really rewarding when somebody comes back after their college career and they're like, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect to have this kind of relationship, with you, with my teammates, with everybody. And, will you come to my wedding? Or, I just had a kid. I would love for you to meet him or her. And, it's just a different level of respect and bonding that you have with the college age students. And so that kind of drew me back to coaching, and here I am.
So I'm still local. I live in Williamsport. I didn't leave. No, after I graduated, I was a graduate assistant coach at Clarion University, out about an hour and a half from Pittsburgh for 2 years while I got my master's in biology. I moved to the University of Scranton as a full-time assistant for 1 season. Decided I wanted to come home. I had 2 little nieces that I wanted to watch grow up. I also wanted to start chipping away at the student loans. So I made the tough decision to leave coaching, picked up a job at Geisinger in Danville. Didn't really like that, knew about a couple months in I wasn't gonna be there very long. And so then I moved to First Quality, actually designing tampons for 4 years. And then after that, I got asked to be the interim head coach at Pennsylvania College of Technology in Williamsport for the 2018 season. They were unable to complete their search for a head coach that year. I was a volunteer assistant. Their paid assistant had just resigned in February. So they offered it to me, and I took the opportunity. And in October of that year, they offered me the job, and I jumped back into it. And I've been there ever since. Best decision I think I've ever made. I'm happier than ever living in Williamsport, and I have a fiance, John, and my little boy is 7 months old. His name is John Teagan, but we call him JT.
Awesome. Thank you guys for those updates. And JD, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think my favorite part of being a coach, and now I've coached long enough where my players are starting to have children and get married and getting those updates. And, that by far is the best part, is when you get those phone calls or emails. And some are just the hey, how's it going from an alum, and it's been really great to get to know your group of alums as well, and starting to connect with more and more of you guys. So I'm going to turn it over for Bree for this next question. I think this one will be a good one for you guys.
So this is my last question. Who was the teammate you admired the most throughout your career here, and why?
And no pressure to have to name somebody on the call.
I think the teammate that I most admired would be, actually she, same year as me, was our captain for 2 years, Shannon Kurd. She just had the ability to connect with everybody on the team, from, that person who played 90 minutes to the person who never got on the field. But more than that, she was just a good person, kind heart, great family, and smart as anything. So on the field, off the field. We happen to be in the same major, and I don't know how she did it. She did it all. She really did. And, you know, I think now she's a doctor. She got her doctorate. So she's a PhD. So she's doing her thing, but she's just a fabulous person. And when you're in it, you don't realize how much of a leader she really was. But reflecting on it, I think that she really, senior year, she was our only leader, you know, our only captain. And I think that there was a lot of other people who stepped up, but we didn't need anybody else, because she really she was just a great person on and off the field.
Stole mine. Yeah, Shannon Kurd.
I knew I was gonna.
She stole mine too.
Yes.
I want to get it in first too. No, yeah, Shannon Kurd was honestly one of the greatest people to have on your team. Like, I would never want to play against Shannon. But she never stopped. She ran forever, and she demanded that you did the same. Like, she would put the ball where it was supposed to go, and you felt obligated to get there. Like, you knew that she was playing that ball. And as strikers, we pretty much played in a system that it was your run or it wasn't your run. And like, you knew that Shannon would be on you. Yeah, I remember two things. The Navy game where we won 4-3 to go to the tournament. She chased me after I scored. She chased me and tackled me so hard. Like, I was trying to get away because I knew I was gonna be at the bottom of that. But she would also like hold you accountable as a teammate, and that was one of the biggest things. And that's probably the thing I learned the most from her was, there was an overtime goal I scored against American, and I was so exhausted. It was like the doubleheader weekend. We played Holy Cross and American, or Army and American. We drove, and it was the second game. Both of them, they were all overtimes, kind of like you guys, you know. And when that goal got scored, and it was on the turf and it was hot, I like was so exhausted. I started walking off the field, and she, you know, shoulder bumped me. She's like, if you ever don't come hug me after I give you an assist, you know, there'll be, you know, something to pay. And then she put her arm around me, and, you know, we celebrated. I was like, I can't even walk off the field. I'm so tired. And she's like, I know, but you better hug me next time. And I was like, all right, you're right. That's what I should have done. And, you know, it just makes you she made you a better teammate. She was a maximizer. Like, everyone around her got better. So yeah, Shannon Kurd, hands down.
Well, they stole mine as well. Shannon was a big go-to for me in terms of, you know, on the field, off the field, everything. But I think the other piece for me was my senior year when Kelly Boswell and Nicole Murata and I were the only 3 seniors left from our class. And we had basically different attributes that all just kind of meshed together. And for us, it was not about one being better than the other. It wasn't anything like that. We just had the respect for each other going through these 4 years. And, you know, it's a grind. It's a daily grind to be a college athlete. And, you know, you have all kinds of rewards from it as well. It's, you know, obviously it's the best years, but for me, I think was forming that bond with them and how we could help the team, you know, just with our different attributes. And I think it's something that I've taken into coaching with me too, because it's not always, you know, the top players that need to be captains or you know, it's just what can you do that is in your strength to, you know, in your skill set to help the team. And for me, I think the relationship that I had with both Kelly and Nicole, especially, you know, throughout college, but especially in our senior year as well, I think is something that I'll cherish for a long time.
For me, it's definitely Boz and Nicole and JD. So just like she said, they had a great bond and a great dynamic. And, you know, coming in and just having them there as a support system, both on and off the field, and they led by example. You know, Boz was the epitome of a team player. She was somebody that she worked hard, she wanted to compete, and but she was there to pick you up when you fell down. You know, she was somebody that I always, you know, felt was the heart and soul of our team while she was there. You know, JD, I had followed her in her footsteps. That's all I wanted to do, was just follow in her footsteps and try to be as good as she was. So, do what she's doing, learn from her, and pick all of that up. And then, Nicole was just a workhorse, and she was just brutal in the back. So she was just somebody that I looked up to just for the tenacity that she had. And, she was always very excited and very happy at the same time. And I think that the combination of each of them that brought something different, and it was a great leadership across the board. And I think that the three of them were definitely who I admired and looked up to throughout my career.
Awesome. Thank you. Those are some good stories for sure. So I have our final question here. What are your thoughts about the current state of the program and how it's grown through the years? And then on top of that, what advice would you give me as the current head coach of the program? Feel free. We've got a lot of coaching backgrounds here, so feel free to get technical in your advice if you so choose. But just love to hear about what you think of it, the program currently, where it's gone over the time since you've been graduated, and any advice you have for me, hopefully for this season and many more.
Yeah, I think Krista probably could speak a little to this also, but taking the program where it was and just seeing how it's built till like now, it gives me these feelings of like that, we did that, that was a program that wasn't so great at the time. And every year the recruits got better and the talent got better. And then, Krista came in, and then JD's class came in with JD and Nicole, and like instant impact. And it sounds like that happened again with you, Krista, when you came in, and it just kept happening. And to, see that. And I remember I went to one of the games at Princeton a couple years back, and I forget, but I think there was sisters, and she was like getting close to one of my records. I'm like, beat it. I'm like, get it, girl. Like, go for it, But it's just to see the program where it was and to know where it was. And I'll never forget my last game freshman year at Navy, and just feeling like just that disappointment of having that season, and then to just be able to grow and to see the progression to where it is now. It really gives me so much pride in how that's gone. My advice for you would be something that's kind of been touched on, but don't underestimate the impact that you have on your players, and the ability that you have to form that team unity and that team bond. I look back and I can say now that, Chrissy was a huge part of who I am today. And I only had her for 2 years, but she stayed at Bucknell. I know she's still there doing her thing. But the impact that she had on my life is immense. And I still talk to her to this day. And I just, and sometimes I'll just call her, I have to hunt her down because she's so busy. I'm like, can you answer your phone? And she sees my area code. She knows it's me. But just don't underestimate that impact that you can have on somebody, from your best player to that practice player. And just be honest in that. When I was coaching, I think the best thing that the coach at TCNJ did, Joe Russo, I think he's phenomenal. He's been there for, I don't even know how many years at this point, probably 30 he's going on. But there was a girl, she came in and, she wasn't getting time on the field, and she didn't deserve time on the field at the time. And he was honest with her, and he was like, listen, you're here, the starting 11's here. Like, you need to do A, B, C, and D to get on that field. If you start improving that, then you're going to see some time. But till that gap closes, your role is this. And you push our players during practice. And I think that honesty and that it was just so pure at the time. And I was like, whoa, like, that's what it should look like, So those two things, your impact and the honesty in coaching.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen.
I agree. To see where we are now, like, I think I coached against Bucknell at Bucknell a couple years ago with another school, and it was so insane to watch I was on the wrong sideline at some points, but they were killing it. And it was amazing to watch such athletes. Like, when Jen and I came in, with Shannon, we were just hustlers. We were just like we would just work and work and work and work. And JD and Krista's class started to get these like athletes. It was crazy to see the difference in these, well-rounded soccer players. And it was so different. And then to see 10 years later, the difference was amazing. And the expectation, while ours was a different type of expectation, the expectation was the same. Like you're here and you're just going to keep going. Like we will take you now and you just need to keep getting better. Every year you need to get better. So I love where the program is. What I would say is, as a recommendation or whatever, the advice was keep doing things like the 30-year thing. When me and Krista Matlak were out, the 30-year anniversary, it was amazing to see the women that came before us that started the program. To think 30 years ago, there wasn't a program. I mean, there was a club program, but it wasn't anything of what it is today. And to sit down and have a conversation with those women and what they did, it affected me. And I wish I had a chance to talk to the younger players and say, okay, this is where we were a couple years ago, and this is where you are now. But and these are the steps that got you there. And keep building it that way, because we're still a young program. Like that's the way it is. So, I do think that when around the time of the 2005, 2006 seasons was a huge transition for our program. And there's going to keep being these big transitions. So they need to hear it. They need to see where they came from and where they're going. And the big gap between those two things is amazing to see on paper. So that 30-year anniversary was awesome. I would bring my daughter was with me. But for her to see it, for the families and the kids to see it, and I just thought it was great. So keep doing things like that.
Awesome. Plan to. Thank you, Krista.
Yeah, I think for me, it's really amazing. And like I was telling Bree before, we follow you guys no matter whether you think we are or not. It's something that we, as alum, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one because I talk to other people, but like in our year groups, and we follow everything that you guys are doing. So when we see, okay, they're headed into the conference tournament, who are they playing? And we go back, we take it back to when we were playing Colgate and playing Coach Cook. And it's like, that reminds us, like Colgate was our arch nemesis when I was there. And, like they're going in and playing Colgate and I'm like, oh, it draws the fire out of me immediately. And I'm not even there. You don't even know who I am. So it's just like we are following you guys and we're pulling for you guys, and it's just been amazing to see the more championships that have come, and even just the off the field stuff. Like I love seeing the updates of what you guys are doing and the team bonding that's going on, and just how you guys are so involved with the alumni as well. You guys are calling us, you guys are emailing us, sending us handwritten notes, all of these things. Like we probably don't give the feedback to you that either A, we've received it, or B, like we really appreciate it, but we do. So those are the things that you guys do that really touch us, that I think you probably don't understand the meaning behind them, as much as you will when it's 10 years from now and you're receiving one. So I think for you guys as players, it's really touching for us when we see everything that you're going through, because like I said before, it takes us back to when we were there, and it brings out those emotions immediately. And I think for me, I'm just glad to see the program going in the right direction. Like Krista said, I think it was a big turning point around the 05-06 time, and for me, I don't think it's fallen off yet. There's always going to be ups and downs years, but you have that. But we've turned around quickly every time. So I think just keep that tenacity and keep, moving forward. And it's really, we're all pulling for you from behind the scenes. And then I think for Kelly, being another coach, I've kind of touched on this myself, but like, it's rewarding afterwards, the girls, and, I don't know how they are with you now, but it's very much, you have that player coach relationship and you have that line and you got to keep that line. But then once you cross over that line, once they're graduated, it's almost like they become another, Bucknell supporter and family, and you can kind of, talk to them and engage with them in a different light. And for me, I had, a couple experiences that probably Chrissy and Ben don't even remember, but I will never forget. And, I lived in Philadelphia after I graduated, and, there was Philadelphia traffic is horrible. So I got in a little fender bender, and here comes somebody 4 lanes on the other side of traffic yelling out her window, "JD, are you okay? It's Chrissy Finley." And I'm like, what the heck is Chrissy Finley doing in Philadelphia at 10 o'clock at night? And she knows that it's me in the dark. Like, I had my Bucknell sticker in my car, and, just her reaching out like that. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, yeah, now I'm great. I'm good, because I don't even care that my car got wrecked, so just little things like that. I mean, I had a horrible day my sophomore year where I just kind of had a complete meltdown. I got hit in the head twice and it didn't even hurt. And I just had like a complete meltdown. And I walked off the field in a strut and just bawled my eyes out. And, it was something things were going on out of soccer, and I never bring, I wasn't that person to bring those things on the field. And, Ben called me that night and I didn't pick up because I was so embarrassed. And I didn't pick up, and he left me a voicemail that I still to this day have on that same phone. Just because it was it was a whole new level of, someone caring for you and just, having your back and knowing that that's not you and something else was going on and they're just checking on you. And I think little things like that, the more you can do, you don't think that has an impact on a kid, but it really does. So I'd say, any little things like that. And, from a straight up coach perspective, I would say, I love the connection that you make to the alumni. I think that you do a good job in reaching out to everybody. I'd say if you could even do more of that, that would be great, in terms of more updates, even like throughout the season, like every 2 weeks or something, like this is what's going on. 'Cause I read every single word in those, and you have no idea whether people are actually reading them or not and just put them in a folder. But, I read every single word and I follow you guys. So, even if it's you have an assistant write it and you sign it, I get what it's like in the coaching world. So I'd say as many updates as you can provide would never be too much for me. So that's my 2 cents.
You'll know if it's really well written. Riley wrote it. If it's not that great, then you can be like, oh, Kelly wrote that
one. I guess for me, it's exciting to, one, be able to still go to the games live. Sorry, guys, that can't see them live. It's nice to be able to go back and sit in the stands and just watch the team excel. You really, you took the program over and you really are starting to build a foundation of excellence there. And it's just continued to build on that. Like I said before, hold each other accountable, hold your players accountable, hold your coaching staff accountable. Just do what it takes to try to keep, growing this program. It's exciting to see, just this small school in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, making the NCAA tournament. It's crazy. And for me, there's a lot of pride just to know that I was a part of that at one time. I might not have gotten to the NCAA tournament, but my class, helped get you guys there. The better the program got while we were in it, it just kept bringing in good recruits year after year. And I guess my coaching advice for you, Kelly, would be just like JD said, you make an impact. So even in the good times or the bad times, be careful what you say and how you say it, and know that it will have an everlasting impact on the student athlete that you're talking to in the moment. And, rolling through those ups and downs and finding ways to just make sure that you're being honest and you're being truthful with them and show them that emotion, because they're going to feed off of it. when you're angry and upset at them, sometimes they need to hear it. You know, when you're really proud of them, they need to hear it. You know, I always felt like some of my coaches were almost just extended parents to me. And, you know, the girls are going to do whatever they have to do to make you proud and, you know, to make you just feel good. That's just kind of the nature of it, I think. And I want you to just be able to, you know, create those bonds that we've talked about. You know, I love the style of play that you're pushing them towards. You know, you're connecting a lot of passes and doing all that stuff. You know, I guess technically just get creative in front of the net so you can score some more goals. You know, sometimes that's just practicing options in front of the goal and attacking runs and stuff, but the goals will come. That's something that will come if you hold each other accountable and you just work hard. You know, have the girls watch more soccer in the off season. Sometimes they don't watch enough soccer on TV. There's plenty of games going on right now and no other sports. So there's no excuse at this point. But no, I love where the program is, and Kelly, I love what you've done with it, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Awesome. Thank you, Krista. Guys, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this past hour and 15 minutes where we're gone over a little bit, but not too bad. But, you know, it's just incredible to hear your stories and your passion for the game and for Bucknell and for each other. I mean, you can hear it in your stories and your voice. And, you know, my goal is definitely to continue to connect you guys. Just this past hour, I've enjoyed so much getting to know you even better, and would love more opportunities, whether it's coming to cities where you're at or having you back at Bucknell for events and things. And man, I'll tell you what, if we get the alumni game this spring and able to hold it, if you guys all showed up and you were a 4v4 team, I'd put some money on you. I think this group can really do some damage in an alumni 4v4 tournament. We'll have to look for a goalkeeper for the group and maybe a defender, but you guys have been awesome. I've really enjoyed hearing from you guys, and I've learned so much, and I just can't thank you guys enough for taking the time to join us tonight. So thank you guys. Todd?
Yep. So just wrapping up real quick before I echo the comments that Coach just made about having you all on, I want to start with Bree and thank you again for being on tonight. I hope your training is going well, and obviously we all hope that you're back here this fall and you have a great and successful season. We're keeping our fingers crossed. And ladies, you know, this, as Coach, to echo Coach's sentiments, this has been great. There's been so much great advice given on this call and a lot of great insight. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. For those of you that are coaches, I again hope you have a season and it goes really well. And then for the ladies that aren't coaches, you can come back and be a sideline coach at Bucknell. I'm sure Coach Cook will have you on the sideline. So maybe we'll get to see you here at Emmett Field. So for everybody at home watching, I want to thank you, and everybody else, go Bison.